Welcome, everybody, to episode 36 of the Beat of the Bronx podcast. I'm Jess. This is Russ. And it's been a week.
It's definitely been a week.
It's been a week. No baseball for almost a week. Has it been a week?
Yeah, well, no Yankee baseball for a week. I know.
That's all.
It's hard to watch the Mariners Toronto series right now. We've been casually watching it,
on in the background,
following what's going on, and crazy how Toronto just looks like a different ball club. But that's baseball. That's how it goes.
That's baseball. We had a fun week, though. We
had
very
busy, fun.
Two of our three girls have October birthdays, playoff babies. So we celebrated the little one and the big one this past week. It's very nice. Can't believe we've been parents for 8 years.
I know, crazy, right?
It's always a little damper without the Yankees playing during their birthdays. We're kind of used to that now, I think. I mean, we watched playoff baseball in the hospital.
Yeah, Emma was born the day the Yankees beat the then Cleveland Indians in the 2017 division series what we heard about how the Yankees came back that series down being down 2 games. And just the night she was born was the night the Yankees beat the Cleveland Indians.
I remember in the hospital, we were so concerned to make sure that the TV was going to have all the channels we needed to be able to watch.
Well, what happened was it was warm then.
It was a heat wave. There was a heat wave that week
in October, and the air conditioner in the room broke.
And then they had to switch us, and then the TV wasn't working.
TV wasn't working, so we needed to make sure.
We figured it out, though. We figured it out.
We were able to watch the game, and
our biggest concern, as we just gave birth to a baby that morning, is to make sure we got the Yankee game on. But hey, I mean, this is all they know really anyway, so they're used to us. But I don't know. I mean, we've already discussed us coming out of the playoffs and all that stuff for this year. We've started discussing now what we're looking at.
The long off season.
Yeah, it's a long off season. I mean, it's only been a week, and it feels like it's been like a month.
Yeah, I know. But technically, baseball's not even over yet, and Yankee baseball's over, and with a lot of free agents, nine free agents on the 26th, and that's not even counting the arbitration and the 2 club options. So figure 11 guys.
That's an overhaul.
Yeah, somewhat of an overhaul. Yeah,
that's like an overhaul of the team. I mean, we have our core that we know is going to be there, but we're gonna look at a lot of changes. I think this year.
I think so.
Well, you had a list going, right? So let's jump right in.
Yeah, I kind of wrote up 6 bullet points here. Now we'll go one by one. Of kind of a way for the Yankees. Not even a way I think they should tackle. Just
these are
6 things to look
that
at.
we're addressing. We're addressing in the offseason this year. What's number 1?
For the offseason. So number 1 is Cody Bellinger. This is, our opinions here. Cody Bellinger needs to be the priority due to his versatility and athleticism alone. So, just knowing, certain executives were brought in here to the New York Yankees from, who were known from other clubs as, general managers and having prominent roles in other teams' front office. So, like, for example, Omar Minaya was very, very, vital in making the Yankees more athletic. And, Andy Martino talked about it a little bit on when he was on Pinstripe Territory and saying how Omar Minaya was very, very involved in making the Yankees more athletic, and the example Andy Martino gave was, it's not they're far from the days of Gleyber Torres and Luke Voit. So, and as you can see, a player like Cody Bellinger, who can play Gold Glove caliber defense in center field, left field, right field, and first base. We've seen him this year just alone in games, saving games because of his defensive prowess at all 4 of those positions.
Correct.
He's made impactful plays and literally saved games. Yankees Subway Series alone, the shoestring catch in left field, in
Yep.
Citi Field, and the main thing, it kind of goes hand in hand with the second.
But wait, let's go back to Cody
with
Bellinger.
Cody Bellinger. The athleticism. So as you see, Yankees around the diamond are a lot more athletic than they used to be.
Yeah. Which they needed to be.
Which they definitely needed to be.
That was important.
Does that make them a better ball club? No, per se. It doesn't mean that these guys are better than other ball players. It's just, they're able to field their position better. They're more athletic. They're better on the base paths. As the Yankees struggled with fielding a lot early on this year. They progressively got better as the year went on. And, I think, with the big, if you want to say elephant in the room now, the big rumor is half the fan base wants to bring back Cody Bellinger. The other half of the fan base wants to import Kyle Tucker.
And that's what I was going to bring up. I'm not really understanding why everyone's so lukewarm on Cody Bellinger.
Mm-hmm. Well, the whole we're not going to get into the whole pros and cons of both players, but Cody has the ability, which he's done, to be an MVP, all-star level player, which he should have been an all-star this year.
Yeah.
But there was a few snubs in the American League and National League guys.
Well, when fans vote,
but that's a completely different story here. But Cody, was an MVP, and he had a few really bad seasons where I understand the concern of if we're going to somewhat go into Cody Bellinger long term, because that was the main root of his opt-out, in my opinion. Not only, what was it, the 18 to 20 million that he was going to get if he accepted that player option, then he would have been a free agent next year into the looming off season of having no baseball.
Which no one wants to deal with.
Which no one wants to do. And I think that's going to have a lot to do with the contracts, not only for the Yankees this season, for all 30 clubs.
Yeah.
And, just for everyone, just remember that Hal Steinbrenner was one of the few owners who votes for a salary cap. So keep that in mind. It's not, not going to be, Mr. Moneybags over here, even though we know the Yankees have, earned over $700 million in revenue. One of the top earning teams in revenue. I think they were second or third on the list. I first from remembering it, but that doesn't mean that the Yankees are just going to shell out, $500-600 million addition to the payroll.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Now, just knowing from what I've learned many, many years ago when I was, going to school for sports business management, and just following the game very intricately, and the business side of it with the looming CBA and the possibility of a lockout,
which is likely,
very, very likely. I just don't see owners like Hal Steinbrenner or any of the owners, throwing out these big extravagant contracts.
I agree, because no one knows
ramifications, knowing what the future ramifications are going to be. I mean,
especially knowing that around baseball as a whole in the past couple of years, there has been such a shift in the way that these contracts are made and the way that they're formed over the long term, with all of these deferred money and all of this other stuff going on. I have to assume with the new CBA next year that they're going to be touching all of that stuff in that. Yeah. And there's going to be many different restrictions that are going to be unexpected, I think. I think that's what's going to happen. It's going to protect the teams, not just the players. I think in the past, the CBAs have leaned player heavy. Yeah, I think the next one is going to lean owner heavy. I really do. That's just my opinion. But that's really a conversation for next year, regardless.
But it has a lot to do now. We've seen.
It does. It's going to be a quiet. I think it's going to be a quiet.
Well, it's going to be
signing
a dragged out.
It's going to be very dragged out, which it has been. The last couple of years. I mean, we've seen guys going into spring training with no contracts. I mean, that blows my mind.
That might be Kyle Tucker. That might be Kyle Tucker this season. Now, we're very well aware of how good of a player Kyle Tucker is.
Of course.
He's one.
I'm not taking anything.
Very, very well aware of how gifted of a player Kyle Tucker is. But my main concern, just not even worrying about the financials, how many years he probably. I mean, realistically, he's probably going to garnish a probably going to garner more than $400 million
Yeah,
at least.
probably.
At least. And I just don't see the Yankees going more than 8 or 9 years on any player. I mean, Aaron Judge was offered 9 years. I mean, Max Fried, his situation's a little different because they needed to add the extra year because Boston was honing in on it. But and same thing with Garrett Cole.
Which always
seeing
happens
how that
in general.
contract is aging now.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
not.
That's for pitchers, but
as these guys get older, then the injury risk rises so heavily.
I just don't see the Yankees going, that route now. We don't know what kind of contract Cody Bellinger is going to be asking for. I mean, I'd assume it's going to be more than AAV of $18 million.
Well, otherwise he would have just taken the.
But would he fall into that realm of making more than $25 million and getting paid like a top player in the league? Because he's a very good player, but he's not one of the top players.
But also coming into that conversation, is he worth the more money if he's willing to not go for as many years?
Mm-hmm. Well, he's looking. I feel, and most of the Scott Boras clients, which Cody Bellinger is,
he's a Scott Boras client.
They're going to be opting out just like Hassan Kim did with the Braves after being traded there from Tampa Bay. But they're going to look for the years, just like Pete Alonso, Scott Boras client. They said he's looking for at least a 7-year deal.
Well, you know what? Let's go into.
Well, let's close with Cody Bellinger. We both feel that it would be nice to have Kyle Tucker. It would be nice, thinking of the old days of George, of both players coming in here.
I know.
But that's not going to happen. I would be completely shocked if that happened. But we've seen Cody Bellinger being able to perform, in a big market. He's won an MVP. Kyle Tucker is, an MVP candidate, has the ability to win an MVP. But just the value that Cody Bellinger brought, just alone with that versatility. And, with my second point here, can Ben Rice handle first base defensively as a role for him to be an everyday first baseman? Cody Bellinger could slide into that first base role. Not next year, but later in his career down the road. And he's going to be an elite level first baseman because back, if you guys haven't done so already, read The Yankee Way, Andy Martino's book. They talk about how much they value.
We should really break that down this offseason. That might be coming your guys' way. Maybe we'll do a chapter by chapter or something.
But that would be a good thing to do this offseason. Yeah. But we'll keep that in the back burner here. Definitely. But do we think Ben Rice can handle first base defensively? If he works on it, yes.
Well, that was what we've seen so far from this past season. Yeah,
the scoops
are a problem,
and the footwork, and how
he's going to get hurt.
Well,
that's the concern I have. When I watch him, I'm worried that one of those little mistakes that he makes—not mistakes, but he's just not he's not a honed first baseman. That he is risking an injury the way he's playing sometimes. I mean, a couple of times running to first base, I'm sitting there, I'm cringing. I'm like,
learning the position at the major league level, and we know his back and play.
Yeah,
that's we definitely know his back and play. I mean, getting everyday reps, every day at bats, we're probably looking at least a 30 home season.
Yeah.
And homers is what plays now, as we all we all can see. Homers is what plays.
It's all we really play anymore.
But when it comes down to it, when we see, how much homers play and all that good stuff, you got to be able to, generate runs, and it can't just be home run or nothing. But for the regular season, for 162, as we feel the Yankees are a team built for the 162 season.
Yes.
What comes down to is game 163, game 164, 165, and so on into the playoffs. Once, with this new setup here, they had to win 14 games to be crowned. As a wild card team, they had to go on and win 14 games to be crowned. So that's obviously more than 162 games.
Homer or bust
doesn't work in October. Doesn't work in October.
It's not gonna. It doesn't last, as we see, which is why we're sitting here having this conversation right now instead of watching the ALCS.
Exactly. I mean, you see the Mariners. Putting it to the Blue Jays very similarly to how the Blue Jays put it
Correct.
to us. And, the homers are there, but, it's the ability, like a Hoya Polanco, the ability at one point, it was, I think they said 6 of his 7 hits drove in runs.
That's big.
And,
That's big.
they're, home runs, extra base hits. But, what did the Blue Jays do? The Blue Jays, hit home runs, but then you have like the Ernie Clements and, who, laying down bunts and moving guys over and doing the little things.
Team bunt is like.
But, sometimes it's just the little things. You can't just be a one-trick pony.
Right.
You can't just be a one-trick pony. So
you have to be able to manufacture some sort of runs. I mean, the sheer number of guys left on base is just what kills us.
And also run prevention.
Right.
Which all comes into, can Ben Rice handle first base defensively? What we would like to see, is I would say, maybe a right-handed complement bat. We know Paul Goldschmidt's a free agent. Thank Paul Goldschmidt for his contributions this year, but it's a little, little showed he's past his prime.
Yeah.
Yankee, I would like, for them to get more athletic. Younger, which could lead to Kazuma Okamoto, maybe the right-handed hitting Japanese import. Now, haven't really heard any rumors. We've heard Munataka Murakami. Is the Yankees have been the only team that he technically mentioned by name.
Right.
Doesn't mean anything. We'll find out in time. But
Okamoto.
He's a left-handed hitting.
We were watching some videos of Okamoto.
Yes, and from the World Baseball Classic, he was, very, very vital to Japan's success.
And I know a lot of the concerns coming out of the Japanese league is, how are they going to hit American pitching? It's a different game. MLB is different.
I just want to add this before we lose it.
Sure.
Okamoto does play first, third, and a little bit of corner outfield.
Right.
Now, Yankees, athleticism, versatility, lineup balance, a right-handed bat. Now, they say that he reminds scouts of a right-handed hitting Hideki Matsui in the type of approach. Now, Yankee fans, once you hear the name Hideki Matsui, the light bulb lights up, and go Godzilla.
He was the best.
Unbelievable, but
you know what? He's been very active in the Yankee community lately.
Active.
We've been seeing him pop up at events. He was actually in our area not that long ago, putting on a clinic with some of the little league around by us. He threw out the first pitch for one of the playoff games at Yankee Stadium. He has been active around, and that tells me, just as an outside perspective, that the Yankees are definitely going for somebody in Japan, because that tells me that they are going to use Matsui, as they should, to help draw someone here.
Who else other than Matsui? I mean, the Yankees haven't had a significant Japanese star on this roster, and they've had dating back to the late 90s.
Sure.
Hideki Arabu.
Yep.
Keiagawa didn't work out. Hiroki Kuroda. Masahiro Tanaka. Before that, Ichiro Suzuki was on the Yankees for a little while.
Ichiro.
So, of recent years here, the Yankees have always had that, Japanese import.
Now, I know that the West Coast is typically the go-to for a lot of the Japanese players, just because of the convenience of being able to fly home without it being such a big to-do and all of that stuff. But the Yankees are still nothing to sniff at for some of these players, and we are in it still. It's not like we're like sitting at home, when the playoffs start. We're still there.
Yeah, we were talking about this before we came on.
Yeah, let's talk about the draft.
We were just saying how it's the second longest drought.
Yeah.
They've tied the second longest World Series drought in franchise history. 16 seasons.
Yeah.
And yes, they made the World Series last year and lost in embarrassing fashion. But then we used the Mets as an example. They're a club, one of the highest payrolls in baseball, and they're a club that has never made the postseason 3 consecutive years in their existence. They've made it the postseason, a couple times back-to-back seasons, but they never made it 3 consecutive seasons. And the Yankees have had winning seasons dating back to, it's been 33 years now.
Right.
And
so I don't think it's something that we should be taking for granted.
No, I mean,
we shouldn't be taking it for granted.
We shouldn't be taking it for granted, but we always hear come spring training when pitchers and catchers report and all the Yankee brass start talking, it's World Series or not bust, championship or nothing. And it's been a long time now since we've,
not
seen
had
that Yankee championship. But it all comes in part with, what we're seeing here now with this, will the Yankees be, going into a philosophy change, which maybe they kind of need to here. I have no problem with them wanting to be more athletic, but you can't have guys who, guys or players, I should say, who are, their style of play, projects them to be, 265, 270 hitters, 8 to 14, 15 home runs, 60 to 70 RBIs, and, they're swinging for the fences, Anthony Volpe. And you see the struggles, to single Anthony out here. He's a type of player, and Joel Sherman talked about this too, where maybe, not sell out so much for power. Now, we know it's the game right now is, it's a homer happy game. And home runs show success. Now, we don't live under a rock. I don't live under a rock. We watch every game and numerous other teams' games. Home runs are what wins. But as you see how the Yankees postseason, and we'll talk, single out the Yankees here.
Fine.
We're not going to talk about the other teams. We see the Yankees postseason. We've seen it last year that if the Yankees don't out-homer the opponent, if that big run doesn't come from that one big swing, or the big couple of runs don't come from one big swing, they go home.
Right.
And they lose in embarrassing fashion where, you see Trey Savage mowing down the line, making it look like he invented pitching.
So frustrating because
I'm not saying that, we don't need players like Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton and, get guys. We're not looking to field a team of 9 Tony Gwynns here.
That's
but you don't need your catcher in the 9-hole swinging at first pitch with the bases loaded. You don't need your 5'8", 5'9" shortstop swinging for the fences, swinging for the downs.
That's all everyone does. It's all they do.
Jazz Chisholm, every swing is out of his shoes. Now, I know 30 for 30, and we'll get into more about Jazz later. But 30 for 30 season, but with his speed, it would be nice. 30 for 30 season is nice. A potential 40-40 season is nice. But the batting average, I mean, I know it's batting average doesn't get you paid, as he's entering his walk year now. But what good is it if you're like Anthony Volpe in 15 at bats, striking out 11 times? What good is it? Strikeouts aren't going to get you paid in the marketplace either.
You're right.
I mean, we talk about the old school way of, the old Moneyball way and, the old Gene Stickmichael way of, get on base, get them on, move them over, play baseball. And now, it's evolved into get on base, hit a home run, or, just get guys on, 3-run home run. That's what, we're pretty much seeing here. But when it comes down to it, when you want to be crowned the best baseball team and the best team in baseball, but you don't have a guy on the roster that has the ability to bunt. But you know what? Sometimes when you run into a hot pitcher like a Trey Savage and Kevin Gossman, who, you've had success off of in the past, but all of a sudden that success doesn't mean nothing because you're staring down elimination games and double-digit strikeouts.
What you got to do? You have to get him off kilter a little bit. You have
the line from Moneyball: adapt or die. You're not adapting.
Yeah.
You can't just swing for the downs all the time. There comes a time, you have your cleanup hitter, or now you have your number 2 hitter, you have your number 3 hitter, you have your number 4 hitter, who are the power sources. who is getting on base? Who
Exactly.
is moving runners over? When the big boppers are striking out their, 180, 200 times a season, that bottom of the order got to pick it up a little bit. We always talk about who's the Scott Brocious, who's going to be Scott Brocious. Scott Brocious was a sub 240 hitter in the regular season, and
Right.
nowadays he wouldn't even make it.
Correct.
Nowadays he would be gone. Nowadays he'd be Oswald Peraza. To the same,
Because
but what he did in the postseason was when it mattered, when it really mattered, he was the one who rose to the occasion. Look at Ryan McMahon. Ryan McMahon had a wonderful postseason here. As bad as the Yankees looked throughout the postseason, they had a few guys who flourished. Aaron Judge changed his narrative.
It was so good to see that
Ryan McMahon, and
who I did call out McMahon prior to the postseason.
Called out McMahon, but these are guys that Judgy wasn't hitting the homers and the extra base hits. They were coming, but a lot of singles. But sometimes
it's nice to see a single. It's nice to see a couple of singles back to back.
Before we veer way off topic.
Yeah, I know. We're really.
That's where, baseball, the old school mentality, and you can, it's valid to say, that that's an old man approach to the game. But when it comes playoff time and you're not generating runs the way you're usually generating runs by playing, with your bread and butter here, the long ball, it's just not sustainable, as we've seen for 16 years now. It's not sustainable because you have to rise up and adapt or die in the postseason. And the Yankees don't adapt.
Okay.
They don't change.
No, they don't. They stay stagnant.
They stay stagnant. It's their way, their approach, and if it doesn't work,
it's okay.
It doesn't work.
It's their approach. They're still going to keep doing it.
This is a front office which has a general manager who has referred to the postseason as the crapshoot. Which, no. A team has to win. A team has to lose. That doesn't mean you have 9 batters and the 2-3 guys you're using off the bench
fingers and hope for the best.
To come in, swing for the downs every time. I mean, home runs are nice when you're hitting them.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't get anybody on base before them, what good is What good is all the solo home runs?
This all goes with the third point.
That was my next.
So the third point I have here: don't sell out for power. Home runs are vital to team success in this age of baseball, but you need more contact and less swing and miss versus the better crop of pitching that you'll face when it counts come October, which we kind of talked about.
Yeah, we kind of covered that.
So, in closing of in that point,
talking offensively,
since talking offensively here before we get into the fourth point, but just gotta find a way. The Yankees talked about roster balance, which they've had this year with the left and right, but that also comes down to different type of hitters. We're not saying we need Tony Gwynn or it's not sustainable. There's no way you'll find 9 guys in this day and age who have the ability to have 300 hitters all across the board.
Right.
It's just not the game now. But you can't have a roster with 26 guys where, the offense here, the only way you know how to generate runs is by the long ball. I mean, I know the Yankees had one of the best offenses this season throughout Major League Baseball. We know that. The run differential, the home runs, we know that. But when it comes down to it, in elimination games, come playoff time, when you're striking out 11, 12, 14 times in a playoff game, that is not a recipe for success.
No.
And the bottom of the order, as you follow my videos, you follow us on Instagram, I talk about it all the time, all season. The bottom of the order, we need the bottom of the order to pick it up. We need the bottom of the order to pick it up. The bottom of the order has to pick it up. Can't just be the Aaron Judge show. The bottom of the order has to pick it up, and you need players who are major league caliber players. Simple as that.
All right, now.
Fourth point.
Let's talk about
pitching. And what do the Yankees do with their pitching depth? Now, we're going to be having Garrett Cole come back. Probably, I would say, like to take Aaron Judge's line, I'm not a doctor, but I'm not a doctor, but from watching baseball for pretty much 33, 34 years out of the 37 years of my life, Tommy John, basically, we're going to see him, the trajectory, the time frame, if all goes well. And Garrett's been throwing. You've seen video clips of him all throughout the postseason. He's been with the team. Realistically, we're probably looking at May, late May.
That's reasonable.
Maybe June if they want to play it really safe. Clark Schmidt, I would say we'd be lucky if we seen him next year.
Yeah.
But, with Garrett Cole here, so that's another top line starter. That's after not having him last year. That's like going out and getting a free agent signing.
Correct. That him coming back
now
is huge.
Whether or not Garrett Cole's going to be the ace like he once was, with Max Fried here now, and Carlos Rodon showing what he can do. The emergence of Cam Schlittler. Now that's 4 pitches. We've seen what Will Warren can do. We've seen what Will Warren can't do, and his road struggles and. Those games with just complete blow-up games.
I know we also said last week, though, I believe we talked about it last week, you cannot deny the consistency, though, overall.
No.
For him. I mean, he gave us how many starts?
It was like 14 of 15 in the regular season, and some really good ones, and one really historical one in the postseason.
And when you're asking for a number 5 starter, that's kind of what you want.
Yeah, back end of the rotation starter who looks like he's going to emerge one day into being an ace. And even,
I think so too.
Even the Yankees' surplus of pitching down in the minor league is now Chase Hampton's coming back from injury. That's a big prospect name that, a lot of people, you heard in trade rumors the last 2 seasons. You have the emergence of Carlos LaGrange, Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, Ben Hess, just to name a few.
Yeah.
Of those,
There's a lot of depth down there.
Yeah, a few of those guys who probably on any other team would be looking at, the back end of their rotation. And even Will Warren. Will Warren was on no one's radar.
Yeah.
Will Warren, no one's radar. And he made, whether the quality of them, what they were, 33, 34 starts.
Yeah.
Made every one of the starts. I want to say it was 33 starts, if I remember correctly. But I
have to be honest, like if I'm picking and choosing, if you're putting me Will Warren and Heel, I'm picking Will Warren.
Well, from what we've seen,
I'm picking Will Warren. I'm not
now. Would you entertain the idea of maybe moving Luis Heel to the bullpen?
Oh, I can see that.
See that
definitely.
Most great bullpen pitchers, most great closers. Mariano Rivera,
I was just you took the words right out of my mouth.
Andrew Miller.
Yep.
Were failed starting pitchers.
Correct.
Failed starting pitchers. Now, I remember Mariano's games in 1995, and it was brutal. He had his moments here and there, but and overall was brutal. And then you seen him, just only if they would have known what his potential was in 1995, that would have been different. But can't go back and change things. And but most starting pitchers, Dylan Betances.
Yep.
More recent relievers in recent years, was a guy. Look at Roki Sasaki. I mean, he didn't have that great of an outing last night. No. But these are starting pitchers.
These things do happen.
You convert into nice, really nice relief pitchers. That very rare someone comes up as a relief pitcher.
Right.
But you gotta kind of you can only slot 5 guys into the rotation, barring injury. So what are the Yankees going to do with this? And as we know, you go in a season, you use around 9 to 12 starting pitchers throughout the starting season. You need that depth, but the Yankees have a real big surplus of depth here, and they have needs in the bullpen. And now there's only one outfielder right now.
Right.
So yes, they have Jason Dominguez, who is going to play in the Winter League with Luis Rojas. The team Luis Rojas was involved with. I forget the name.
Oh, I don't remember, but
they're the defending champions in the Lido Dom. I mentioned in one of my videos, Eska. I don't remember, but what they could do with this depth here. Could we see maybe someone from this team, starting rotation be on the move? We've heard, Luis Heel rumors in the past for Kyle Tucker, and could some of them be, moved to the bullpen? Now, I don't see them really moving, someone like Ben Hess or Elmer Rodriguez Cruz or Carlos LaGrange, into the bullpen now in the minor leagues. They're going to want to keep them built up as starters. But, Luis Heel could be, as we've seen him struggle, with, putting guys away this year and, struggling with the swing and miss. Could they kind of reinvent him? Because his stuff in the past has played to where he can be a flamethrower. And, the Yankees lack flamethrowers in the bullpen. Not saying to move Cam Schlittler to the bullpen, but even though his stuff would most likely play,
I think for now he should stay.
For now, definitely in the rotation. He's going to be a top of the line frontline starter for years to come. What he's shown here, but we saw Will Warren come out of the bullpen, didn't really work, but they have a lot of depth, a lot of pitching depth here, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see what they do with that pitching depth. And will they use that pitching depth to fill the holes needed in, other parts of the roster?
Now, this is what I wonder, because we know, as we've seen in the past from the Yankees, typically when they have their guys, they have their guys. The ones that they intend on bringing up are always brought up, and then the ones that they don't intend on bringing up, no matter how good they do, are kind of stuck down in AAA. Now, my concern is more that we're going to have a little bit of frustration in terms of them trying to get people, like maybe trying to trade and doing all this stuff, but not taking from what we have already. I get kind of frustrated with that. I get a little annoyed.
I do think, though, that we're probably, just my opinion, we're probably going to see more talent imported to this roster via trade than free agency.
We typically do.
Usually. That's usually, and Cashman's bread and butter usually is the trade market, and and they're always in on the big name guys come trade deadline,
which is another reason why, going back to what we were discussing a little bit earlier about signings and things like that
and the payroll and stuff.
I do think, well, like you said, number one, I think they're going to go light into next year with the CBA coming up following the next season.
I definitely see them going down to the under 280 million.
Well, and I think that they're definitely going to save some not cap space. We know there's no cap, but
of their made up cap space. Yeah,
they're going to save some space for trade deadline time.
Yes.
I definitely 100% believe. So if everyone ends up getting frustrated because we're not spending the money we should be spending now, it is because they do intend to use some of it at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
That is what I see happening, because we know that, as you always say, it's a marathon. As the season goes on, these injuries happen, major things happen, things need to be shifted, things need to be changed. And that trade deadline big move is usually what is needed at that point. So I'm okay with them not going hard necessarily going into the beginning of the season, knowing that we have Garrett Cole coming back from injury. And then we have all of these guys that we can really tap into.
You don't know what's going to happen with Aaron Judge.
He may need surgery.
He may need some type of cleanup in that elbow.
We don't know what's going to happen.
What's going to happen? We don't know.
So once we at least have something to
how
go
is
off
Jason
of,
Dominguez going to look after playing? It's going to bother me not knowing the.
And are we ever going to see Spencer Jones? I can't take it anymore. I don't know. You guys have been listening to me all season get annoyed about this, but Spencer Jones had such an amazing year in AAA, and it's just really frustrating knowing that we had times where we really could have benefited from him coming up. We don't know because he hasn't had a chance.
But he did finish very poorly. Once we started seeing those alerts of his back issues and stuff, he did the final stretch of the season, the last 5 or 6 weeks of the AAA season, he struggled mightily, and went back to his old ways with the big strikeouts. But
can I just say one thing about that?
That's the game now.
Can I also say one thing about that? My opinion, and I may get ripped for this, I may not, but I think that part of the reason why he had some struggles at the end of the season, and I think I said this to you a few times, is that I think that mentally, knowing you were doing so well and that the team could use you and that you're still not getting called up, that is taking a toll on this kid. It is taking a toll on him mentally, and that's personally why I think he struggled a little bit.
I agree with that too. For the most part, and even when Judgy had his little IL stint,
it was perfect time.
We were adamant that this is the perfect chance for Spencer Jones.
I understand why they won't give it, why they refuse to give him a shot. I'm sure they have their reasons, but as an outside perspective, from a fan perspective,
we're not watching AAA games here. We see the highlights. Correct. We read the write-ups about them, the extended highlights. It's not like we're following the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Railroad the same way we follow the New York Yankees.
No, but from an outside fan perspective of what I'm seeing, and a kid that I follow fairly closely in what he's doing on a day-to-day basis, I do. I may not follow the team as a whole down in Scranton, but we keep an eye on Spencer Jones. He's my minor league keeper in fantasy, so I like him a lot. I really follow this kid, and it's frustrating. As a fan, it's frustrating. Because you see these availabilities out there that are not getting utilized.
And it leads nicely into our next point as we're talking about Spencer Jones, into my fifth point for my six keys going into the offseason. But the fifth one here, it goes hand in hand with center field. Now, whether it's going to be Spencer Jones being elevated, whether it's going to be Jason Dominguez maybe moving over to center, his more natural position, if you want to say. Is it Trent Grisham coming back? Is it another free agent? Is it a trade? But, Trent Grisham, who is a free agent here, Yankees free agent. He was in his walk year and, performed pretty nicely in his walk year. And I'm sure Trent's going to earn himself a nice contract here. But first and foremost, from a business standpoint, it would just make sense for the Yankees to extend that qualifying offer. Which is $22 million next year. So if he was to accept the qualifying offer, which sometimes happens, usually doesn't, but which sometimes happens, he would be on the team, on the payroll next year for $22 million, and then enter in after next season as a free agent. But if he doesn't accept it, you get a 4th round draft pick and some compensation from the team that signs him. Now,
I think they should definitely.
The point that I put down here is Yankees should think twice or even 3 times when it comes to a long-term contract for Trent Grisham. Yeah. He's earned the right to be extended the qualifying offer. Now, just from the business standpoint, the Yankees have to do it. I don't think he will take it. I personally think he's going to end up across town with the Mets, with one of an old familiar face to him, David Stearns, who was involved, with the Brewers back when he was a 1st round draft pick back in 2015. He was the 15th overall draft pick. Trenton Clark, he changed his name to honor his mom. But Trent, who fits the Yankees bill, as we always talk about, that almost failed 1st round prospect, which he was up until this season. With put out seasons there batting under 200, very suboptimal performances here on offense of his track record. His track record shows very different than the 34 home runs he hit this year.
I think so.
Very different. But cap off, tip your cap to Trent for the season he had. It was magnificent and a real fun ride. But best of luck to him in free agency. I just don't see the Yankees bringing him back here. He does fit the mold, of what the Yankees look for, but he's going to be, 29 next year. And, for the long term of it, I just, I wouldn't do it. I would think twice about it from a Yankees perspective. But it was a great season, but it
was a great regular season.
Great regular season.
His postseason was completely different.
No, he completely disappeared in the postseason, but it makes you think now. So if Trent Grisham is not on the roster, who is playing center field? Cody Bellinger is a free agent. There's a good possibility of Cody Bellinger. Now, everyone wants Kyle Tucker. Everybody wants Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker is not going to be playing center field. Yeah. We've seen what it's like with Aaron Judge in center field.
No.
With his elbow injury now, do you really want to put Aaron Judge in center field?
No.
So who's playing center field? Do you want to put Jason Dominguez in center field after what we saw in left field? So if Kyle Tucker is signed, that leads you to an outfield of 3 corner outfielders. To me, I mean, it's nice on MLB The Show, but this is real life.
Yeah.
Defense is vital. Defense is vital. Run prevention is vital. What are we doing with Kyle Tucker, who in 3, 4, 5 years from now, when Giancarlo Stanton's contract is up, Aaron Judge is going to, easily move into that DH role. Yeah. And, it would be nice to have the DH role open, but, I'm not talking next year. I'm not talking the year after that, maybe not even 3 seasons after that. But there's going to come a time where you're going to have a lot of DHs on this roster.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't, it's not going to last for the, roster construction, the poor roster construction, as A-Rod said, which, I don't think it was that poor. It was just more of a heat of the moment type of thing from Alex. And, so. With his personal gripes against the Yankees front office that he has. But same thing with Derek Jeter. But, to echo what Susan Wallman said, with them is these are guys who are not involved in the day-to-day operations of the Yankees. And, just from a fan point of view, if Derek or A-Rod said it, it must be true. Because of,
because you're assuming they know more than we know.
Well, the pedestal that we as fans put them on, but they're not in the inner working meetings.
Well, they haven't been a part of the day-to-day operations of the team in how long? 15 years, give or take.
Long story short, you have Cody Bellinger, you have Trent Grisham, and even Austin Slater. 3 guys on the roster right now, or 3 guys who were on the roster that could slide into play center field. And yes, Austin Slater is one of those guys. I'm not going to say Jason Dominguez can slide over to play center field because we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
He could barely play left field. What makes you believe he's going to play center field?
Yeah, if I'm not confident
for 160 to 162 games. I mean, think a little bit here, guys. Think a little bit. Try to think rationally. Take the Yankee goggles off.
It's hard.
It's very hard. But who's going to be the center fielder? Who's going to play center field? And there's not like there's any free agent out there.
That was my next question for you, actually.
Do you want to go back to Harrison Bader? It's old news.
Yeah.
We know what type of player he is. It's just, that's just, thinking hypothetically that, the Yankees will go out and name Harrison Bader and, sign out and make it. It's just, I don't see it happening. But, who better than, if you want to ease Spencer Jones into that role even. Right. Who better to have on the roster than Cody Bellinger, who, if Judgy is out for any type of time next year from injury, from any type of offseason surgery, if it was to be a thing, Cody Bellinger can slide over to right field seamlessly.
Yeah.
You can pencil in Cody Bellinger as your opening day center fielder seamlessly. He can play left field like we've seen. He can play first base.
Yeah.
If you want to use Ben Rice behind the dish because of, not having, offensive pop back there with, Austin Wells, as good of a catcher he is defensively. And you're talking about defensively. Then now for the catcher position, you're putting defense on a pedestal.
Yeah.
What are you doing with center field? Defense don't matter? All up the middle. And as you've probably seen my tweets, and I've been talking about it, every position up the middle means something.
Yeah.
And the Yankees were weak defensively up the middle all season. Well, barring, different, Austin Wells wasn't weak defensively, but Anthony Volpe up the middle, shortstop, weak defensively, leads the American Leagues in errors, 19. The second most errors in the American League, Jazz Chisholm.
It wasn't looking pretty.
And what I think was the turning point of our playoffs, not alone just getting, blown out by the Blue Jays, but there was a big double play that was botched by Jazz Chisholm Jr. that exemplified the going home early. And, now Trent Grisham played a very, very, fine center field this season for the most part. You can, have your arguments that he's lost a step or two. He doesn't have speed, but this is a guy that makes most of the plays. Yeah. Makes most of the plays effortlessly and, run prevention. So the run prevention, You're going from a team that we can talk about how it was terrible defensively and got better defensively as the season went on. So now you're reverting back to no defensively because you don't have guys who can field the position. Who's going to play the position? And center field, shortstop, second base, and catcher all fall into this. So which leads me, closing out on the 5th point, and we can even add Jazz Chisholm into that. Now, I didn't write it in here, but we can even add Jazz Chisholm into that, who is entering his walk year next year. So looking ahead to next year's offseason, the 2 big names who are in their walk years right now for the Yankees are Jazz Chisholm and David Bednar. Those are the 2 big names who are free agents next year. And these are two positions that I feel the Yankees need to address or, pay close attention to right now. And that's the bullpen and the defense up the middle. I'm talking strictly defense up the middle. Jazz Chisholm is a great player. He's a great contributor. But long term, I do not think that he is the answer at second base. Long term.
I think that next year, because it is a walk year, I think that Jazz is going to have a very good season.
Most likely.
I do not think long term he will be with the New York Yankees past next season.
Not the answer long term.
And I also have a feeling,
especially with Anthony Volpe at shortstop, complimenting him.
I also think that Jazz is going to be a very valuable trading chip.
Whether it's off season, during the season, we don't know how the season's going to play out next year.
I think at some point, I mean, we've heard him in trade talk.
Be open-minded to a Jazz Chisholm trade.
I think he may be involved in a trade at some point.
That we'll end 0.5 on that. Not saying we should trade him.
No, but I think that because of the environment we're currently in with the team, I think that he is a valuable aspect in a trade that we can get someone. If we included him in a trade, we can really get someone that could impact the team.
Get some, not just one person. Get some more pieces to address the multiple needs, which are a lot more important than the excess that we have now, which is Jazz Chisholm. He's an excess piece.
Correct.
He's not a piece of need because as of right now, you can slide Jose Caballero. If Jazz Chisholm, you can slide Jose Caballero and get.
We have options.
There's options, which going into talking about having options or needing options, and the player who has options that have yet to been exercised, and whether they should have been or not been is another story. But he had 0.6 for the shortstop, 6 on the diamond here. We cannot have Anthony Volpe penciled in as the shortstop in the reporting to spring training. There needs to be some type of competition. This is, what I think and what we think. There needs to be some type of competition for the job, even though we know that Volpe will be entering, camp with the upper hand. So we talked about last year, big year 3, kind of shows what type of player that he is, what type of player you have. Year 3 is always very, very telling of that. And for me, the honest truth, for grading him not off of how he performs in the postseason, how he performed, because he's one of those players that does rise to the occasion in the postseason. Has had good postseason moments, has had bad postseason moments with his strikeout problem this year. But had the home run off Crochet, who was a big part of why we beat the Red Sox, and his improved defense down the stretch of the season. But it's just the throws, the unnatural look of how he just has to crank himself up. It's like, it just seems like, and I'm no expert here, no fielding expert, but from watching baseball for a very, very long time and studying the game, it just, a small frame like that. Like he reminds me, he has that David Eckstein, but minus the really rising to the occasion. Which he's done, but really, World Series MVP type David Eckstein. But just that cranking, the amount of effort it puts.
A lot of effort, yeah.
Just on the routine play. On the routine play, the amount of effort he puts in to make that throw over to first But then you see another guy built in similar stature, Jose Caballero, where it's like boom, boom, it's automatic, and on a line over the first.
Well, he's just clearly more comfortable doing it.
There's no loop to that throw. Anthony Volpe, there's a loop to that throw.
Yeah.
There's a hitch to the throw.
It takes a little longer to get there.
It takes a little longer for it to get there, and we see the lack of double plays that are made with him and Jazz Chisholm. Usually,
What were we saying? Allergic to the double play?
Yeah, we weren't alive, to see Phil Rizzuto play, but this is someone who's won an MVP. Anthony Volpe, we haven't seen that yet. And the big year 3 that we wanted to see, to me, it shows us that kind of he doesn't belong in the big league level in the role that he has now. Not saying he can't be a bench piece.
No.
But we've never seen him play other positions. We've only seen him be penciled in at shortstop and, penciled in with a torn labrum. How much was that injury a part of, his lack of success? Could have been, but, shame on the Yankees for penciling him in and running him out there every night, night in, night out, running him out there, and and it was a terrible regular season. It was a terrible regular season and a big part of the non-success in the summer. Yeah. Where the elongated whatever you want to call it,
June that lasted until the end of August.
And then you just have the manager coming out, he's elite, one of the best shortstops in the league, and they keep telling us this. Maybe they got to take a real long, hard look in the mirror.
I feel
the Yankees as a whole, just is he what they want long term?
I feel like that the whole instance with Volpe this year, with the struggles, and then finding out that he had an injury and all of that stuff, it just really is, that to me is more concerning than his lack of play.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about the fact that the Yankees felt okay throwing him out there all that time, knowing he was injured, and the way it's different if he was
the small sample size too. We saw the small sample size to Caballero, but then once he was over, he sat a whole series. It was and Caballero played a nice shortstop, and then all of a sudden it was like, nope, Anthony's going back out there. And
which was fine if he was ready, but he clearly wasn't.
Just, it'd be fine if he performed, but he didn't perform to what they've been telling us that he's the player he's supposed to be. He is light years away to being that player that we were told that he is projected to be. Now, when are we gonna, it comes a time where you kind of gotta, you gotta cut the cord.
Yeah.
You gotta cut the cord. If he's not gonna be that player, if he's not the player that you thought he was gonna be, how much longer, how long is it that you're going to keep running him out there?
Yeah.
Forcing it. And then there's, other than George Lombard, who isn't ready, that if you send George Lombard up to be the shortstop next year, you're setting yourself up for the same events.
Yep.
Rushing that player, because I think Anthony Volpe was rushed. We
talked about that.
We talked about it a lot. He spent barely to no time at AAA, and just the refusal of not using his options and never sending him down for seasoning. I mean, even Mike Trout was sent down early in his career.
I mean, he
wasn't ready. It's just the refusal to do so is what gets me.
And that's when it becomes they're so set in their ways.
There's no pivot.
There's no.
Well, there is a pivot, but there's no. It's there. They're gonna run that plan out there
the whole year
and not adjust to it.
Correct.
It's just and leave it up to chance of it. Well, if it doesn't come to fruition, it doesn't come to fruition. There's no.
Well, this hasn't been working for 2 months. Let's try something else.
Not collateral. There's no backup. Plan.
There's no backup plan.
There's no player waiting.
There's no alternate version of the plan.
And then when you had that player waiting in the wings, like Jose Caballero, who could have, showed us in a small sample size, that series showed us that he's capable of, being the starting shortstop over Anthony Volpe. they refused to let him do so after he proved it.
Right.
And now, with Oswaldo coming back from injury, who we know how great of a utility man
I'm looking
Oswaldo
forward to
is.
seeing him being back.
Looking forward to see Oswaldo being back. Could Oswaldo be a guy, who could, if there's an open competition, could Oswaldo be a guy that pushes, the limit a little bit here for who should be the shortstop? Could Oswaldo be that guy? Could Jose Caballero be that guy? Could there be a non-roster invite? That could there be a free agent signing? Now, Bo Bichette is one of those big names, who's dealing with injury himself right now. Bo Bichette is the big name, hot commodity at shortstop. There's also, like Isaiah, his teammate Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. You don't want to go back.
We've already done that.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Which comes, should the Yankees make a move here to bring someone in, knowing that George Lombard Jr. is waiting in the wings?
Yeah.
But whether or not he's ready. So you need that stopgap. And it doesn't sit well with me for if they come out and say, we're going to do Volpe for one more year.
I know.
And even if it is just for one more year, to show that you're a serious team and a serious contender, and I don't want to make this about Anthony Volpe.
No, because it's not just him.
The individual.
They've done this with other players as well.
You can't look at us with a straight face with the way things have been going year in and year out. And, you can't look at us with a straight face and say Anthony Volpe is going to be the shortstop next season. There has to be someone to come in here to push the envelope, to make him a little uncomfortable. There shouldn't be the job security.
Correct.
For a lot of positions.
This isn't a tenured professor position in a college. This should not be like that.
It sure seems that way with the coaching staff.
Oof.
Aaron Boone. But, not even getting into the coaching staff.
No, we're not talking about that today.
We're not talking about that.
But I feel like, so they're so okay.
Something needs to be done here.
They're so okay with Volpe running out. And, again, I am not picking on Volpe. I am just using him as an example at the moment. Yeah. He had his struggles. They put him out day after day, day after day. Then you have situations where we have guys who have earned their spot, so to speak, who are getting pulled pretty quickly. Look at Weaver. Weaver, kind of in the beginning, I'm going back now, earned that closer spot.
When he was removed from the closer role from the acquisition of Devin Williams.
Who
didn't work out.
There was no need for that, regardless of whether he worked out or not.
Well, towards the end he did, but
regardless. I that's why I say this is not player specific.
Yeah.
I'm talking about mentally. Everyone talks about this now. Everyone is concerned about everyone's mental state, how comfortable they are, where they are, all of that stuff, and how important that mental aspect is when it comes to daily performance. When you have a guy like Volpe, who you're showing confidence in, running him out there every day, we trust you. And he's sitting there going, I'm hurt. I need a cortisone shot. I am getting dragged by the media on a daily basis. I'm getting booed.
We saw that
every day. I'm getting booed. I'm hurt. And you're still running me out there. Yeah. And you have Weaver, who was killing it as the closer. Killing it. Mm-hmm. He was so confident. That's my job. That's my role. And then you trade for Devin Williams. And you say, no. You're not a closer anymore. You're not our closer anymore. And now he goes into a struggle, Weaver.
Downward spiral.
Because he has now mentally had his job taken away from him. Mm-hmm. But I don't understand why it's okay to do it to a pitcher. And we've seen this before. They have a tendency.
They pick and choose.
It's
been like that for years.
It's so frustrating.
Years and years.
Because I feel that in Volpe's situation, what happened this year with him, that if we would have maybe given him a little, let's put you on the IL. Let's get you some rest. Let's work you a little bit. Let's get you some rehab games. Go out into Somerset and play some rehab games. Go talk to fans and get your vibe going again. I think we would have been okay.
Rather than run him out there to the booze for weeks.
Oh, my God, it was like torture. And don't get me wrong, I was one of them. I'm going, I can't take this anymore. Not knowing that this poor kid was hurt the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys. I understand we got a lot of injuries going on, but this is why we have depth. This is why we have a AAA. This is why we have these guys who can be called up for a couple of weeks and fill in some spots. And we had Caballero. Why are we not using the people that we have at our disposal? Yeah. I can't understand.
Caballero should have played a lot more, and
yes,
really could have made the argument that he could have supplanted Anthony Volpe as the starting shortstop.
He could have if he would have had a chance, but he wouldn't get the chance.
He didn't get the chance.
He didn't get the chance, and I feel that their philosophy with how they are handling some people with kid gloves and some not, I think needs to be addressed.
It does need to be addressed.
And that goes into the coaching staff, which is a conversation for
the coaching staff and the organizational philosophy.
It's just
we'll get into.
I think that's for another podcast episode.
That's and just so everyone knows, Matt Blake and Tanner Swanson, Matt Blake, pitching coach, and Tanner Swanson, who's the catching coordinator, have options to come back. I would assume they would. They're coming back to the staff, but third
not
base,
that a change wouldn't be welcome.
For anyone else, I think they really need to look at not only a philosophical change with it in their inner workings of the organization, also the coaching staff. And I don't want to come out and point out flaws of certain coaches and stuff. We don't know how these coaches are.
We have no idea what goes on behind.
We're not sitting in the clubhouse. We're not in coaches' meetings. We don't know who's putting in extra work and who's not putting in extra work. And we don't know these coaches' philosophies and these coaches' relationships. From what I know is, and from what we know is, like a Luis Rojas on third base. There's some times where he had some questionable, waving guys in.
Yes.
And we know him as the outfield instructor, and he constantly. Dominguez has been working with Rojas, and there's been a little bit of improvement. Yeah, but
we don't know where it's coming from.
Not enough improvement.
Yeah,
not enough improvement. So when is the point from where we're letting him? How much longer is it going to be dragged on?
I also feel the same way with Matt Blake. I feel that
the pitchers did not show up in the postseason.
And listen, when you hear
and he's not out there pitching, he's only can do so much.
Yeah, but when you hear how vital Andy Pettitte was this year with Rojan, don't you want to hear that the pitching coach is the one that's been so vital in the growth of the pitchers? And that's all I'm going to say about that this week. I don't want to talk about the coaching. I don't want to talk about the coaching.
It'll lead us to two different things. The last statement on the coaching is, you saw my Willie Randolph video, and I'm bringing it back out again. The Yankees need to bring, and no offense to Aaron Boone, and who's been our manager here now for 8 seasons, going into his 9th season. Aaron Boone is not a Yankee legend.
He hit a home run.
He played less than half a season for the ball club. He hit a home run that, in my opinion, means nothing because they lost the World Series embarrassingly, just like they've been losing series for the last 16 years. So the tone was set back in 2003 with Aaron Boone to begin the losing in embarrassing fashion. So we need to bring a Yankee legend, someone who is of substance, significance now.
Someone who understands winning culture.
Andy Pettitte is involved with the Yankees, but he's not a full-time coach on the staff.
No, he's like a consultant now, basically.
It's gonna be, I'm trying to think of, I feel like we need that Don Zimmer figure. Now, even though Don Zimmer wasn't a Yankee, but we need a Yankee from Yankees past to play that Don Zimmer role. Right. Whether it's someone returning to the coaching staff years later, like a Willie Randolph, we need someone here. No offense to Luis Rojas, no offense to Travis Chapman, no offense to Brad Osmus, who was a very fine ball player himself back in his playing days. He was drafted by the Yankees, but he wasn't a Yankee. He was an Astro, a National League Astro. He was a nice player, nice catcher. Pretty, you can argue whether he was a decent manager or not when he had his chance, but he wasn't a Yankee.
Right.
Even though Don Zimmer and Joe Torre weren't Yankees, they had Mel Stoudemire, who was a Yankee. They had Willie Randolph, who was a Yankee.
They were surrounded with them.
They had Chris Chambliss, who was a Yankee. They had Reggie Jackson, who was a Yankee. The list goes on. Lee Mazzilli, Yankee.
We need a handful. We need a handful of people to come in and show the players.
To show them how to be Yankees.
Yes.
We've drifted too far from what it means to be a Yankee.
You can't say that it's win a World Series or bust every year, but not give the players that same feeling.
They need someone to, as much as the rumors that we hear that the players don't want to hear about the teams in the 90s, that
you could not want to hear about it all you want, but it is what it is, my friend.
There's rumblings that, they're not really, the players weren't really happy about, always being compared to the Yankees dynasty years and the teams in the 90s. Well, you know what? You can't change history. History is what history is, and the Yankees, of the 90s were, arguably the greatest teams of, all time.
I mean, this is why one of the most common phrases when someone becomes a Yankee is those pinstripes are heavy.
Yes.
They are heavy for a reason.
And you need someone on the staff who can explain that. And in my opinion, Aaron Boone is not that. As, he's a pretty good manager. They win. The winning is there in the regular season.
In the regular season.
But we need that Yankee voice. Now, maybe Andy Pettitte is that, but he's not the pitching coach.
He's not the pitching coach. It needs to come from the coaches on the staff.
And and just saying, oh, Mike Hawkey's been on the staff in 2000, from the bullpen coach. It's different. It's different. Mike Hawkey is not Willie Randolph. Willie Randolph was a captain, and all I had to hear was we'll close it at this. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, should we run off the names of the free agents stuff? But
let's not get into it.
Everyone can look up the free agents here, on Spotrac or Roster Resource or anywhere.
We got all offseason, guys. We'll be back talking about it.
Google the Yankee free agents, but we'll finish it off at this. All we had to hear was Willie Randolph's interview with SNY during the Old Timers Day festivities, and his interview with Jake Kosak from the Bronx Zoo, from Bernie Williams' celebrity softball game.
That was very telling, that interview.
That he would be interested in coming back if it arose. With, certain coaches being, up for contract here, and with the way things have been going, and with Hal Steinbrenner being on record saying that was his favorite player growing up.
And with everyone knowing that Aaron Boone is not going anywhere anytime
for at least
soon,
2 more years, because he got
anytime
extended,
soon.
Entering his 9th season.
Coaching staff around him.
We know the Yankees like to give their past recent managers the 10-year rule with Cashman. Even Cashman, whose contract expires next year. Show us you care a little bit, Hal, about the on-field performance here, and hire your favorite Yankee to be on the staff.
I mean, talk about that being
simple as that. And we're not saying for Willie Randolph to be the manager.
No, I just want him there.
Would it hurt for him to be bench coach? Would it hurt for him to be third base coach like he did in the past for Yankee championship years? And when you have a shortstop and a second baseman leading the league in errors, would it hurt for Willie Randolph to work with them a little bit? Would it hurt for a Yankee captain, who was one of the greatest second basemen in your franchise history? Would it hurt to have him, who's right here,
and saying
willing to do so?
So frustrating.
Show us you care, Hal. Show us that you care. We'll leave it at that. Episode 36.
Episode 36. We will talk to you guys next week.